Hi there, welcome back to Ravenous Babble. My name is Dan, and it's time for another Market Babble update. We're hot off the heels of Pro Tour Baltimore and quickly moving into Road to National season, and there's also been a lot of hype building for Dusk Till Dawn. So there's some price movements I want to talk about, and you might want to listen. So let's get right into it. Let's start off with some cards that are being influenced by these Dusk Till Dawn previews. These previews being literally 3 cards: Prism, Vincent, and Bologna, another Angel. If it wasn't obvious before the direction they were going in for the next Light Illusionist, it is more than likely Angel Tribal, with a heavy theme on Ward. Ever since Bologna got spoiled at Pro Tour, Soraya has gone up in price. She's settled back down at around $50 and around $120 to $140 for the cold foil. So the rainbow foil is still well within reach. Cold foil is a bit pricey, but then above all that, the Marvel is listed currently for $800 on TCG Player. Now it hasn't sold. You only see completed listings here for around $500 and not very recently, but these prices haven't moved. They haven't budged. They've been hanging tight at $800. So take that for what you will. I think the price probably will dip a little bit in the interim, but as soon as we start getting more Dusk Till Dawn previews, I think this price is going to stay at $800 or go even higher, if I'm being honest. Also, I think that these legendary marbles were very much so slept on in Dynasty, and I got one more to go over later in this video. So Dynasty packs aren't getting cracked that much anymore. These things are incredibly rare. Honestly, 800 is probably fair. I wouldn't buy it, but these prices aren't budging, and that should say something about it. On the theme of Ward as well, Celestial Kimono has gone up in price, the marble version specifically. It was, I think, at about 140 when it spiked up. Now it's at about 110. I do expect this card to continue to climb, so if you find it for 100, like anywhere between 80 to 100, maybe pick one up if you're planning on playing Light Illusionist and want to have a nice body piece. Great Library of Solana is another card that's been going crazy recently. It shot up to $400 for a few days. It's settled back down around $265. Probably just a lot of FOMO because we knew we were getting light support in Dusk Till Dawn. We knew from an interview with Flukenbox that it was going to be heavily light and shadow themed. The Dusk Till Dawn expansion, that is. So I'm not too sure why it jumped to 400 all of a sudden, other than just FOMO from previews during the Pro Tour. So take that for what you will. If you plan on playing Light Illusionist or Light Hero moving forward, and you want one of these, probably look to buy one for around $250, maybe a little less, maybe $225. But this card will probably spike again in the near future as we start to get more previews and as we start to get closer to Dusk Till Dawn. Now, Dusk Till Dawn also has something interesting. It has 8 legendaries, which is the most we've seen in a standalone or expansion set. Obviously, we're not going to count HP 1 here. But 8 seems like a lot to me. I feel like 6 or 7 seems reasonable as we continue to develop and expand the game. I think 8 screams reprint. Now here's the thing. I don't think we're going to see these Phantasmal Footsteps or this Carrion Husk in Dusk Till Dawn, and I could be totally off base with that. I do think we're going to see Crown of Providence because there is precedent that we get generic legendary equipment reprinted in its non-foil equivalent more quickly than other equipment. Crown of Providence is around $215 right now. It's a staple card in a lot of decks, just like Tunic, maybe even more so. Maybe not. But it could use a reprint already. I mean, a lot of people have their copies, but it's definitely a barrier to entry for a lot of players. And while we do have Arcanite Skullcap as a budget replacement, which is more reasonable than replacing Spring Tunic with something like Blossom Spring, I still think it needs to be reprinted, and I think it's pretty likely that it's coming in Dusk Till Dawn as that 8th legendary. Now, I don't think we're seeing Phantasmal Footsteps or Carrion Husk, specifically because we're getting History Pack 2 next year in White Border. History Pack 2 Black Label is currently in EU, and For War of the Monarch, the release event for Dusk Till Dawn, we're drafting Monarch, which means we're going to get some more of these out to the public. There's no reason to reprint these in the expansion set. So I don't think it's going to happen, and I do think that if you want to play with either of these two cards, you should probably look into getting them sooner rather than later. I think around 150 is fair for the Carrion Husk, and maybe around 180 for the Phantasmal Footsteps. But that being said, the fact that we're getting 7 other legendaries, if that 8th one is Crown of Providence, even if it isn't, there might be new Illusionist Feet, there might be a new Shadow Body, so these cards might not be the most optimal pieces to be played even after the set drops, even if they're not reprinted. So it's all speculation, but I'm putting it out there on the table for you that these might be potential buys you want to look into. Even if there is a new Shadow Body or a new Illusionist Foot piece, these could still be cards you'd want in your sideboard. Moving on, we've got Miraging Metamorph from Everfest. This card has gone from $7 to $22 in the last month and a half. It's crazy. It's a really good card. And honestly, it'll probably see play in the new Prism. So this is one of the stronger Illusionist cards that is moving quite a bit. If you want a copy of this, probably look into getting them soon, because honestly, Everfest Majestics can get pretty pricey. So, New Horizon. Lexi has become one of the most powerful decks in the meta, and Azalea has picked up a very interesting build where she now uses New Horizon and Sandscour Greatbow. So, New Horizon has kind of gone nuts. In fact, it looks like the cheapest one right now is a Cold Foil at $240. The Rainbow Foils have been bought out. So, that probably means that the Cold Foil is undervalued at $240. If you're looking into getting one, might be a good time. The only issue with this is that the way that the metagame for Flesh and Blood kind of ebbs and flows is that once a deck is figured out to be the deck to beat, it gets beaten in the next relevant meta. So Pro Tour and calling Baltimore, Lexi being as threatening as she was, I do expect a lot of Lexi hate in the upcoming RTN season, which means that New Horizon could go down a little bit. Now, with the Cold Foil, I don't know. The Rainbow Foil, though, people might start selling them off at around $200 if you're lucky. But if Lexi still proves to be insanely powerful, or Azalea proves to be insanely powerful with this new build, this card could go even higher. So, not really sure which way to go with this one. I think it should be totally up to you if you want to play Lexi or Azalea. I mean, you're going to get use out of the potential $40 that you might lose after the fact. You get the Cold Foil, less risk there because it's more collectible. So if you want to take on less risk of losing any kind of money, then I would say get a Cold Foil. Just get it now. $240 is fine. Moving on, we got Sandscour Greatbow. This card was around $120 when it came out. Then James White said Azalea was going to be the business this year in an interview. It went up to around $150, I think. And then Outsiders came out and no one played it, and it dropped to about $80 to $90. Now, with the New Horizon Sandscour Greatbow Azalea, this thing has gone right back up to $170. So, if you want it, if you're a Ranger main, if you just collect these Marvel cards, $170 is probably a fair price. You can probably find it for less though. If you look at recent sold copies, looks like it's actually selling for less than $140. Hasn't sold in the last 3 days, so this price might start to drop a little bit, but there's also only 7 listings, so take that into account. Down and Durious is a card I was speculating on a little bit. I bought a bunch of copies at $150 each, and they're now around $12 each, so pretty good decision on my part. I don't think we'll see as much Phantasm when it comes to new cards in Dusk Till Dawn, but I do think that this card will go up more as we get closer, with the speculation that we might see more Phantasm cards. I think we're going to see a lot more Ward cards this time around than we will Phantasm, But that doesn't mean that old Phantasm cards won't get used with the new Light Illusions coming into the metagame. So this card probably will go up to $15 to $20. I can see it peaking at like 25, but probably not more than that. If you need copies of this card, I would suggest getting a playset now. You can find them for $8 to $10 each. I think that's more than reasonable. Next up, we've got Crown of Dominion. Now, Zach Bunn got top 8 with Viserai at Calling Baltimore with Royal Viserai, a build that I've been pretty big on since Royal Briar became a thing. I figured, hey, let me try it out in Viserai, and it worked out pretty good. Then you have people like Yanji taking it to Calling Auckland, and now Zach Bunn top 8ing with it. So I think it's safe to say that Royal is actually a thing, at least when it comes to Viserai. The rainbow foils were actually pretty much bought out the other day, being the same price as the cold foil at 60. So them being available for 40 now is very good. If you're looking to get one for cheap, rainbow foil, I highly recommend it. But if you're looking to collect, the Marvel one has gone up quite a bit. It hasn't sold for more than 210 since the 10th, 225 roundabout. But as you can see, there's only 3 on the market. All it's going to take is one person taking this one away for someone to FOMO into buying that one for 302, and then we're looking at a $500 price tag until people start undercutting each other. So this card's really good, and like with the Marvel Soraya, I think that these legendary Marvels from Dynasty have been slept on, to be honest. I think they're incredibly rare, and people just haven't realized that, or haven't put 2 and 2 together. I don't know. The Marvel Soraya is $800, this thing. If Royal is still a thing moving forward, this is the way you make any character Royal, and this is the collectible piece for it. So I can very easily see it going over $300 probably in the near future. But you can probably pick one up for around $230 to $250 if you keep your eyes peeled. So Drone of Brutality recently got unbanned in Blitz. Now these are specifically the pink strips that we're looking at here, the first edition printings. They were 25 to 30 roundabout when the unbanning happened, but you can see someone's listing one here for $13, so that's probably not a bad deal. The normal copies are around about $3, and the first edition rainbow foils are about $144. Is that accurate? I don't see any even being sold, so yeah, take that for what you will, I guess. Now, this is less so market movement as it is a suggestion. I think that Spirit of Arena is a great pickup in rainbow foil. The cold foil is already up to like $55 to $60, but I think the rainbow foil at 20 is underpriced. And if you have any interest whatsoever in playing Bolton, or you just want to spec on some cards, I think that Spirit of Arena might be a good spec, to be honest, at $20. We saw what happened with Soraya. I think the same thing can happen with Bolton, especially if he can end up using the Angels, if they do just end up being light allies that he can also use. You might see a new build of Bolton coming out, and Spirit of Arena might be pretty good in that build, so it would be worth picking up, especially if you just want one for your collection. It's 20 bucks for one. That's all you need. Arclight Sentinel is another pickup that I think people just aren't doing right now for some reason. The foils are probably worth a bit more. Looks like we've got them selling for around $7 right now, but the normal copy is $1. Like $2. If you plan on playing Prism at all, get 3 copies of this as soon as possible, because it will go up in price. This card is busted in Prism. Next card up as a suggestion is Vambrace of Determination. If Prism is ward based, this card might end up being really relevant, more so than just against the old him matchup like it is now. So keep an eye out for this. $35, $36 for it is not bad. It is a generic legendary handpiece, and we all know how generic legendaries go. This could very easily follow the same path. And my last suggestion for the day is Reinforce the Line. With all the Dominate cards we have in the meta right now, Reinforce the Line is proving to be very powerful, and it could very easily become like $1 or $2 depending on how much play it sees, but considering it's like 15 cents to 25, 35 cents, maybe get a playset now just to have, just so you're not spending a couple bucks later on. But this card is really good. Azalea is popular, Azuri is popular, Bravo's fairly popular. This card is great against those decks to help fight against that dominate when you can only block with one card from hand and don't already have a defense reaction in arsenal. So I think this is a great card to pick up. Super cheap, less than $1. Get a playset, get it done, get it out of the way. But yeah, that's it for now. So until next time, until our next Market Babble, stay safe, keep playing great games, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.
Shout out to the Ravenous Babble patrons who keep the channel going. If you would like to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/ravenousbabble and see which tier is best suited for you.